great career Jay has had. Jay, in his speech, credited a lot of it, of his success, to Ronnie Coleman and their rivalry. Who do you credit for that same rivalry? You had a kind of a different array of people. Certainly Sergio would come to mind, Lou Ferrigno a little bit later, but is there anybody that you decided, like, okay, I need this guy to kind of be my, Ali to Frazier?
Well, first of all, I always will give credit to Reg Park, who was Hercules on a big screen when I was 15 years old. And so we used to go to the movies and watch Hercules. And so he was my inspiration. Then eventually I saw a magazine and I started reading about his training and all that. That's what inspired me originally. But then later on, when I started winning Mr. Universe, at that very same time, Sergio Oliva started winning Mr. Olympia. And so then the following year won Mr. Universe again, and Sergio Oliva won another Mr. Olympia. And then eventually I knew I'm going to go and run together with this guy, with this monster. I mean, he was extraordinary. What a physique. And just sure enough, in 1969, I won the Mr. Universe contest now for the 4th time in New York. And therefore, I was automatically moved into the Olympia competition. And there I was competing with Sergio Oliva. And I lost, which was fair and square. I mean, he was without any doubt better than me. But it gave me tremendous inspiration. As a matter of fact, right after that, half a year later, I went to Chicago and I trained with Sergio. And he was really, really friendly. He invited me over to his house to have dinner, and he would train with me at the Duncan YMCA in Chicago. And it was like really a great camaraderie there. But of course, my one thought was, every time I did a set and every time I watched him do the set, or we were posing together in front of the mirror, I said, this is the guy I have to beat this coming year. And so there was this friendship. He joked about it and he says, hey baby, I'm gonna beat you again, baby. And he would be having his baby talk. And he was very funny, Sergio. And I would say, he says, yeah, you're probably right. I didn't say anything. And of course, I was going home after these training sessions, and I was using some of his methods. The way he was doing bench press, to do it sometimes half reps, to just shock the muscle and not to give the muscle the same exercise, always full reps. So sometimes it was half reps. Same as with chin-ups and stuff like that. So I copied some of the stuff that he taught me, and also his posing and all his leg workout. And he just had the work ethic. It was just staggering, because he would just start out every day with 5 sets of chin-ups and 5 sets of bench press and 5 sets of rowing. He would be doing 3 sets in a row like that. But this was just warm-up. He didn't count that. And then when we did 5 sets of those 3 exercises, that's when we started training. But that time I was already exhausted. And he said, come on, baby, let's do it, And we would just now start training shoulders and arms. And so the next day was again the same thing, so, chest and back. I mean, it was really insane training. And the way he trained his waist and everything like this. So it was a good inspiration, a good learning experience working with him. And then, of course, that following year, right here in Columbus, Ohio, was the Mr. World competition that Jim Lorimer was the organizer and the promoter of. So they organized the World Championships in weightlifting, and then after the World Championships in weightlifting, they organized the Mr. World competition. And I just came over from London. I just won my 5th Mr. Universe contest in London, and flew over here to Columbus to compete. And there was Sergio. I thought I'm going to meet him in New York at the Olympia 2 weeks later, but there was Sergio on the Mr. World competition. He was right on the stage at the Veterans Memorial Auditorium. And I said to myself, oh my God. Luckily, I'm just come from a competition where I posed for the whole weekend, so I was cut. I lost some extra body fluid, and I came in cut enough, and I won the competition. So it was not even a Mr. Olympia, it was the Mr. World competition where I won first against Sergio. And then he came to me afterwards and he said to me, he says, I don't understand what I should do. He says, I'm really screwed. He says, I mean, how could I lose? And I said, I think that for the Olympia you got to go and gain some weight. And he says, you think so? I said, absolutely. So he came to the Olympia, I think 5 or 10 pounds heavier than he was here in Columbus. And that totally screwed him up because now he lost the definition. And you know, so he lost the definition, and so the judges all went to him afterwards and said, you know, you were not as cut as last year. If you would have been as cut as last year, you could have won again. And then he came to me and says, you son of a bitch. So anyways, this is the kind of competitions we had. But so Sergio Oliva was my inspiration. And so to me, that was the standard that to kind of get up to, because he was just so enormous. He had such enormous arms and thighs and small waist and huge lats, and he had the personality. I loved his personality, and you know, his whole Cuban kind of thing, a Latino thing, the combination, and it kind of like really full of energy and all that stuff.
You gave him the wrong advices.
Exactly, I gave him the wrong advices, exactly. But it's the same also was the case, you know, with the movie business. I admired Stallone, but it became a competition. It was like literally like the Mr. Olympia competition. It was like, who is going to be number one on the end at the box office? Who is going to be number one and kills the most people on the screen? Who is going to use the biggest knives? Who is going to use the biggest guns? So, you know, he started using a gun that was a really massive machine gun in Rambo, and then I said to myself, screw that, we're gonna go and use a gun that is usually mounted on a helicopter. And we took that gun and I held it kind of like, there was like my gun, so it was just to outdo Sly with his guns, you know, so it was total madness. Who had less body fat, who had the better body, who has more box office success, and this is how it went on and on. So it was always kind of like someone that you admire, but someone that you use as a means of a competition to get you motivated to outperform him, and therefore to create more competition and more performance.